The dense biomass of a tropical rainforest consumes immense amounts of energy every second. To maintain this biological structure, the system requires a constant influx of power from an outside source. That requirement extends up the food chain. Herbivores and predators alike burn through calories in a continuous struggle for movement and survival. Modern agriculture operates at a similar scale, requiring a non-stop supply of biological fuel to sustain the calorie requirements of billions. While the ultimate source of this energy is the sun, raw solar radiation cannot be used directly by animals or our machines. A biological mediator is required to convert the sun's radiation into the stored chemical energy that Earth's life forms can actually consume. The green leaf is a highly evolved piece of biological technology, engineered specifically to intercept and harvest incoming solar radiation. The process involves taking intangible, massless light and converting it into the physical matter that builds roots, leaves, and food. This diagram illustrates the internal architecture of the leaf. Beneath the epidermis, specialized photosynthetic cells are arranged in layers to maximize light absorption. To understand how this transformation occurs, we have to look past the cellular structure and enter the microscopic interior of the chloroplast. Looking further down into the diagram, inside the chloroplast, we find the grana. These are vertical stacks of individual membranous sacs called thylakoids. These thylakoid membranes are packed with chlorophyll, the specialized pigment responsible for capturing light energy. This graph of the electromagnetic spectrum shows how chlorophyll targets specific energy bands. It absorbs photons most efficiently in the blue and red portions of visible light. The green wavelengths in the middle of the spectrum are reflected away rather than absorbed. This is the reason plants appear green to the human eye. The chemical chain reaction begins when a photon of light strikes a chlorophyll molecule. The kinetic energy of the photon is transferred to an electron, which is forced into a higher energy state. This newly excited electron is the initial spark that sets the entire chronological sequence of photosynthesis into motion. This diagram of the thylakoid details the light-dependent reactions. When the excited electron leaves the chlorophyll, it creates a void that the plant must immediately fill. To solve this, the plant imports water molecules from the soil as a raw material. A specialized enzyme shatters the water molecule, extracting a replacement electron to reset the chlorophyll. Once the water molecule is dismantled, hydrogen ions accumulate inside the thylakoid space. These hydrogen ions are pumped across the membrane to charge ATP and NADPH, which act as the cell's short-term chemical batteries. We can also track the remaining component of the dismantled water molecule. It exits the membrane as oxygen gas. The sun's energy is now temporarily stored in chemical bonds. In doing so, the plant has released oxygen as a byproduct of the reaction. With the batteries charged, the process moves into the fluid stroma. This section shows the light-independent reactions, which use that stored energy to build molecules. For the final manufacturing stage, the plant pulls in carbon dioxide from the surrounding air. This loop represents the Kelvin cycle. It functions as a biological assembly line, consuming the power stored in the ATP and NADPH batteries. The cycle uses that chemical energy to bond carbon atoms together into a stable 3-carbon molecule called glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. These smaller building blocks are then rapidly combined together, physically interlocking with one another to form a stable 6-carbon sugar molecule like glucose. The intangible radiant energy of the sun is now trapped inside the physical bonds of a stable sugar molecule. This single microscopic process, occurring across trillions of cells in every leaf, funds the energy requirements of the entire global ecosystem. These manufactured sugars form the biological bedrock of the food chain, serving as the base currency for all biological metabolism. That trapped solar energy passes into herbivores and eventually into our food supply. When these machines harvest a field of wheat, they are collecting millions of tiny, sun-charged energy molecules. There is also the second consequence, the oxygen byproduct released into the environment when the plants split the water molecules. Over billions of years, this accumulated byproduct has filled the atmosphere, allowing all complex animal life to breathe. Photosynthesis is more than a chemical equation. It is the engine running inside every green plant that that actively keeps the Earth alive.